Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez.
And I'm Hilary Rodriguez.
And we are in our top 50 games of all time. We're doing number 20 through 11 on this video. So
we're getting there.
We're getting there. It's pretty cool. So let's get right into it. My number 20 is a roll and write game that we were lent to play from our local store, Game Castle in Kent, Washington. I spent a lot of time not really being interested in roll and write games. A lot of them didn't appeal to me. Eventually Cartographers came around and that kind of showed me that, like, okay, these games can actually be fun. And then Three Sisters came around and showed me that these games can actually be really amazing. Mm-hmm. This is a theme that I usually wouldn't gravitate towards, but I love it. I love growing my pumpkins and my beans and my corn. That's it, corn. I love growing my flowers. I love growing my fruit. I love getting my shed stuff going where I could do more stuff and creating these cool combos. Ooh, it is fantastic. As I mentioned, we were allowed to borrow this, and this is probably a game that I would need to get because it's so good. Yeah. I really, really like it. You know, I think when we reviewed it, we thought, like, maybe this is somehow solvable to the point where, you know, you might figure out, like, a master strategy, but I'm confident that I'll never figure it out. And even if I do, it'll have been after so many plays that I'll be good with that. I want to. This is like the middle of like the three roll and write games that this team did, I believe. So the first was Fleet the Dice game, in which you are controlling fishing vessels. Now I really want to play that. And then the third one is Motor City, which something cars. I backed it. I don't even care. I was like, these guys are good. Something cars, Motor City. Can't wait. Anyway, that is my number 20, Three Sisters.
My number 20, if you're watching this back to back, it's gonna be bringing it back to the last video. Is Cthulhu: Death May Die. This game actually went up quite a bit on my list from last year. It's number 20 this year. It was number 35 last year. You know, I think because of how many new games came out on this list this year, quite a few Cthulhu games dropped off my list, and so this one stuck around and it went up quite a bit because I do enjoy this game so much. It's definitely a lot more fighty and a little bit more luck because you're fighting so much more than a lot of the other Cthulhu games that we have. But it's just a lot of fun, and trying to figure out how you're even possibly going to get away with running past 8 different monsters to get to the one item that you need is just it's a lot of suspense, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, and as a side note, I just found out this news today. If you're a fan of Iron Maiden, I wasn't, to be honest with you, but I was into rap at the time. Anyway, not important. If you're a fan of Iron Maiden, they're coming out with packs of Iron Maiden related characters, including their like skeletal dude Eddie, for a lot of their games. But one of them is, of course, Cthulhu: Death May Die, and each pack costs $66.60. So there you have it, Iron Maiden fans, teenage dirtbags. That is a thing that is happening. I don't know if I'll get it because I literally can't tell you one Iron Maiden song. I probably heard some, but I can't tell you what they are. Yeah, so
I know them, but I can't. My brain's not letting me think of them right now.
Yeah, I was just in a totally different music at the time when they were like real big. So I remember the shirts like crazy. I saw shirts everywhere.
Yeah,
I was very concerned about that creature. Anyway, my number 19 is a game that I do not have the physical copy of yet. But I have played it on Board Game Arena, and after years, I mean literally probably almost the entire time I've been in this hobby, I don't remember when it came out, but for a long time, I've seen this on people's top lists forever, and I just kept looking at it and being like, that's ugly. It just kind of
If you can't tell, he's very motivated by theme and artwork.
Well, look. You could buy a great game that's ugly, or you can buy a great game with good artwork. Which one are you going to pick? Artwork. Every time. But
you could be missing out on a great game that doesn't have great artwork.
Yes, but I'm still playing a great game because I got the one with the good artwork. See what I'm saying? Anyway, I didn't have to pay for this to play it on Board Game Arena, and they did a crowdfunding thing for a much prettier, fancy, beautiful game with castles. And if I really went crazy, I could even get little animals on the tiles. Did I even say what this game is yet? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's Castles of Burgundy. Holy smokes! Just building out your land and getting all the combos that happen because of it and the points. It is so good. It is so good. And it's finally getting the prettiness it deserves. That box is going to have 8,000 expansions in it or something. I don't know. Not 8,000, but it's a lot. I don't even know what those are. I just know the basic game is freaking wonderful. It won me over the first time I played it on Board Game Arena because I thought I should finally play this game because that pretty thing's coming out and do I even want it? It looks great. Oh, God. I get it. See, this is one of those games I probably overlooked because I was like, I don't know, they're very Euro looking, I'm building, here's my field with the pigs and whatever. Goodness. It's, all I can do is go, God, it's so good. Castles of Burgundy, lots of grunting. That's my number 19.
My number 19 is going to be Dice Thrones. It's a one-on-one fighting game that you're rolling dice for, but each character plays a little bit differently. Your goal's a little bit different. It also kind of has a little bit of a special place for me because the creators of this game are from my hometown, so being able to support locals for me also helps, but it's a really fun game, and they just recently acquired the rights from Marvel, so there's a Marvel themed version of it out if fantasy is not really your theme. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it is a very cool, very quick game. We have the Marvel one, we need to play it, and you can apparently fight them against each other, so if you want to have Captain Marvel fight the Moon Elf or whatever it is, you can absolutely do that. Every character feels so unique. It's good. So good. Okay, my number 18, sort of a modern classic, I would say. I think it's a game that a lot of people played and still love. It is Lords of Waterdeep. This is a D&D themed game. I admit the theme is not on here extremely strong, but it is for me. I really put myself in this line of thinking where haha, I'm one of these people from Waterdeep, which is a city that I know a lot about because I used to be, I still would be if I had time, super into Dungeons & Dragons and especially the Forgotten Realms. I love it. You're sending out your people that are the basic D&D character classes on these quests. You're trying to get the most of them done, and you could build places in the city that your opponents could use, but then they have to give you, you get something. Oh man. I just like it. It is a pretty easy worker placement game to learn, but it's just so much fun. And the expansion, this is one of those games that people say you need the expansion. I don't think you do until you're maybe getting a little tired of the base game where you want something more, but that expansion does have this, one of the modules is this corruption track, so you can go to these places and get really good rewards, but it makes your corruption, I think I'm using the right terminology here, rise up. And so at the end of the game, if it's too high, you'll lose a lot of points. So you have to be really careful about that. But it's really neat. You have different goals depending on the character you pull as well. It's just, it's a modern classic for a reason. I know some people might I've said that they replace it with other worker placement games, which I understand, but I think for me this is always going to be one that I love because of the setting and just the ease of play. I just don't think you can go wrong with that, especially if you're trying to introduce someone to worker placement. It's great. It's not over the top complicated. So that is my number 18, Lords of Waterdeep.
Right. My number 18 was also my number 18 last year. And if you can see, it's actually right above my head here. Oh. It is Marvel United. We have a lot of these sets now. Somebody went and backed everything when it came out with X-Men.
Who did that?
But it's a really fun game. It's a very simple, quick game. The villains make the game feel a lot different. I wouldn't say the heroes have a little bit different abilities, but the amount of cards that they have that are unique to them versus the general cards that you use makes it so that the heroes don't really feel that different to me, but the villains definitely make a big difference in the gameplay. But it does use the chibi art style, so I know some people don't like the chibi art style, but if you do, it's a really cute game.
Yeah.
And the models are really well done.
Yeah, totally agree. They're gorgeous. My number 17 is Bullet Heart, or Bullet Star, whichever starting set you want to play with. I have not played my copy of Bullet Star yet. I assume they didn't mess anything up with it. Let's just talk about Bullet Heart. It is a great game that tries to create a fusion of like Tetris with like bullet hell shooters, and that doesn't seem like it could possibly work in a board game, and it super works in a board game. It is awesome. You can play it cooperatively. You can play it without the timer if you want to. I highly recommend if you're playing it competitively to play it with the timer, or at least once you get the rules down, and especially play with the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is awesome. Every character has their own song, and depending on the song, you can ratchet up the tension, or even make it seem a little more mellow. It just kind of depends, but you have to act so fast, and it just the tension is so crazy. But I absolutely love it, every bit of it. I like sending the bullets over to the other person and like looking in horror as those bullets come like further down the track. Well, they'll eventually hurt me. And then the co-op game is also really awesome because every character has a reverse side that is the boss that you will fight with whatever characters you've chosen. God dang, they did a good job on this game.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. Like, I know that like they kind of describe it as a 2D fighter board game, and it has a little bit of that feel to me. To me, it really does feel a lot more like Tetris in a board game, and I'm just impressed at how they managed to make that happen. So, but it is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. My number 17 is going to be Arc Nova. Like, this is actually the first game that we have where after we played it and when we were reviewing it, like, I actually wanted to play the solo mode before we reviewed it because I enjoyed it so much and I wanted to see how much of a difference it felt playing it solo mode. And I really enjoyed both versions a lot, and this is kind of another game that has a little bit of a special spot for me because when I was growing up I actually wanted to be a zookeeper. Like I actually did a lot of research and like was even like I had my school picked out and all sorts of, and then some life stuff happened so I didn't go down that route, but being able to play this game kind of helps bring back some of those memories that I have of like studying and doing all sorts of stuff, and I have a lot of fun building up my zoo and looking at all the different animals, and it even gives you some information about some of the animals, so it's a little bit educational as well too.
Yeah, I was impressed when we play it and you don't neglect all other animals to make sure you have all big cats. Honestly,
I think the time that I did the best, though, I had a lot of big cats in my...
Yeah, I think you did, because I think I remember that one.
The timing just worked out that well, but...
Yeah. Anyway. My number 16 is the game that moved up the most in my list, even though we only played it, I think, a couple times since our last list. And that is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. It was number 43, so it moved up 27 spaces. And I think just other experiences in games that we played have helped me appreciate that. I always thought it was great, don't get me wrong. But it's helped me appreciate this even more. It's often been described as a Euro game disguised as a dungeon crawler, and I think that's pretty accurate because there's a little randomness in the cards that you draw when you fight or whatever that can give you pluses or minuses. But a good portion of dungeon crawls out there are kind of dice checkers. You go and you roll your dice to see if you hit, and I like those a lot too. And I think that I appreciate this does something different when there's a lot of those. Also, we played Tiny Epic Dungeon, which I felt like was trying to somehow attempt to get in between those, and I don't feel like it succeeded, at least for me. And I think that actually helped me like Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion even more. Yeah. So, just a fantastic game, a great way to learn Gloomhaven, which is a pretty complicated game, but the first several scenarios just add in a rule here and there as you go. So by the end of it, you have pretty much all the rules down. So, fantastic thing. Again, you can sometimes find this for a really good price. So definitely get it. It is well worth it. You will get your money's worth out of this, even at regular retail price. So, Fantastic game. That is my 16, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
My number 16 is going to be Firefly the game. To me, this Firefly game really makes me feel like I'm part of the TV show. You're picking up different assignments and you're flying around from planet to planet to fulfill these assignments, and you also run into some of the bad guys at all these different planets while you're both trying to avoid the Alliance and the Reapers. And so there's just a lot of chaos and drama going on and a lot of tension. And just, it really, like, this game just really pulls in the feel of the TV show a lot to me.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the sad fact is there will probably not be more Firefly in the future, but you could feel like you're experiencing it again when you play that game. They do a fantastic job capturing it. My number 15 has dropped 10 places, but still in a very good spot. It is a cooperative robot programming game called Quirky Circuits, where there is one robot, and you as a group are trying to make it do something. There's a lot of scenarios, and different ones for each different robot. The trick is you can't communicate other than saying beep boop. You could play down cards that on the back might have a direction, like you might know that that person's programming it to go forward or backwards or turn, but you don't know how much. Like, you don't know how far forward, or if they're going to like fully turn all the way around or just turn left or right. You have no idea. And you have to play at least one card down, and you want to get it down before someone else does in a way, so that way you can make sure that you know you're putting in the right thing, because the more things that come out, the more tricky it gets. But man, this game is full of laughs, and I think the only reason it went down a little bit, well, one is just because we played a lot of games, but you know, it is a little bit group dependent. I think some groups will maybe not make this as laughter filled as others. But that being said, I would still try this with anyone, because it is super fun to be like trying to get across something in beep boops. Be like beep boop. I'm like
beep boop.
Beep boop. Beep boop beep boop beep boop. Like, what does this mean? Nobody knows. But it probably confuses things more than it helps. But anyway, it is a fantastic game. That is Quirky Circus by 15.
Yep. My number 15, we had a really special event with this game. We were actually invited out to Gamerati to be able to get a special demo play of this game from the designer Randy Flynn and one of the representatives from Crafty Games. And that's Randy Flynn's new game Tabriz, which it's, depending on when you're watching this, it may still be on crowdfunding right now. If it is, make sure you back it, because it is a really fantastic game. You're carpet makers in a Persian market, and you're sending out your associates to get all the materials that you need to be able to make these great rugs, and then you're trying to fill contracts with commoners or market people, or as you get farther into the game, the royals. And there's a couple different ways that you can win the game, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go about playing the game. And, you know, you can push your luck if you want to, or you can do things that are a little bit more secure. And it's just, there's a lot of moving pieces, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really agree. It's rare that I play a game and it absolutely like blows me away and keeps me thinking about it for like a long time when I had no idea what to expect at all going in, and boy, that game did it. It is fantastic.
Yeah, and because we've only experienced it that one time, we didn't get to experience, but there is a AI system in it too. So the characters you can play, each of them have a backside where they can be an AI, and each of those characters play differently too.
Yeah. My number 14 is actually a series of games, but the base rules are the same in all of them. There are differences between each one. I have played the first and the third one. There is also, it goes up to the fourth one. I guess I don't need to say there's a second one, because obviously. This series is Hexplored. It is an open world adventure game in which you are going to take a character class and a character race, mush them together, get your stats, go out into the world. Some big bad is doing something and will eventually succeed at doing it if you don't stop that big bad. In the meantime, you're trying to build up your character so you can possibly deal with that big bad nasty thing. And you feel like you're constantly leveling up in this game. You're always getting new skills, whether you're paying to get schooled and raised in that way, or you're completing quests so that you can get the cards that'll upgrade you. The third game is the one that I played first, oddly enough, which I've heard is not the one to start with, but I do probably like that a little better than the first one because there's a little more variety and you can gain like the different factions in that particular setting will like you more or less depending on what you've done. Like I started off in the city I went to was like very like tyrannical, and I had to take a job as like a city guard, which are not nice in a tyrannical city, as you might guess. And the next city I went to was all about like scholarly, you know, knowledge and peace, and like they did not like me right away. The guards are going to attack me every turn. So I had to get a job where I was helping like the sick and injured until I could win enough favor there so they would leave me the heck alone. And that's just like one of the stories that I like from that play. One thing about it though, I think it says it plays from 1 to 6 players. I think this is a solo game. Because when you're moving around the map, you're moving as your party. So when you have more than one player, it's really just deciding where you're going to go. And then as far as individual decisions, it's really only when you're in a fight or you're in town. And I mean, that happens a lot, but it still feels like you're kind of just being carried from place to place in a way, and then you have the fight or whatever. So I don't know if that is going to work with multiple players very well, but I think as a solo game, it's really fantastic. I'd probably play with more than one character just to give yourself a variety of abilities. But, you know, I talk about wanting to find the perfect adventure game, and I think that thing where it's not so great multiplayer is the only thing maybe that's holding this back. But that being said, it's as close as I've come so far, and it might be the one that I say, okay, well, it's solo, but this is catching everything I want it to be, because other than doing great multiplayer, it captures everything I want it to be, and those bosses are hard as nails. They are, I can't even, we didn't get close. But it can be done. I just need to figure out how to do it. Anyway, that is my number 14, Hexplore.
My number 14 is Crimes in History, H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle. This is a competitive game where you're playing as H.H. Holmes, people that are associated with H.H. Holmes, and so you're trying to collect evidence to prove his guilt, but your innocence. And it's a map that builds as you grow, and so it you know, each time you play it can play really differently because different tile maps can come out. Sometimes you can have a really small castle, and sometimes you can have a really big one. I think one time we played, we only got like 5 tiles out, and then we couldn't build it out anymore. Another time, after we got through the game, we were curious if we could keep building out the castle, and if we would have kept going, we could have gone through all the tiles. So it has a pretty big range. I think we normally get like 8 to 10 tiles out in a game.
Yeah, that might be about right. I'm not sure exactly, but
you know, each character plays just a little bit differently, and I think it's a lot of fun.
I do too. I think that time we had a really small one. I think that was like a super edge case. We just happened to get the tiles where it's like they couldn't go anywhere. We had like the smallest castle you could possibly have, I think, and it just didn't work out. But I think that's a really weird one. I don't think they usually have it. Yeah. It's real good in general. My number 13 is Arkham Horror, the card game. And this is kind of funny to me because last year it was on your list, but it wasn't on mine. And this year it's on my list. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be on yours. But I really like this game. It is very thematic. It's fun to kind of build up your character and like arrange your deck to have the cards you need and like go through your campaign or what have you and adjust things here and there. It's pretty hard, I will say, a lot of the time. So and just it's a very different kind of system. So I mean, I kind of see maybe why you weren't so into it this time. Like I think that the combat is like I like it. Okay, it's just kind of weird, but overall I really like the story it immerses you in, and it plays in a lot less time than Arkham Horror the board game, which is nice because you just don't always have several hours to spend on Arkham Horror the board game. So of the 3 living card games that Fantasy Flight puts out, I think this is about the second oldest, but it's still going really strong, and they've just adjusted the way that they release things, so you don't have to track down each investigator in a pack at each part of each campaign in a pack, because that's... I was like too intimidated to even try. Like I was like, I don't want to hunt down all these things or try to figure out what goes in what order. I think the way they're doing it now is so smart, and I hope they keep that up and don't make it the old way ever again, because this is so much better. Anyway, that is my 13, Arkham Horror, the card game.
My number 13 is a game that we got to test out for a Kickstarter. It has not come out on Kickstarter, and right now there's no talk about when it will. The creator kind of put a pause on it, and so hopefully it will come out, and if it does, I would definitely make sure to back it, and that's Merchants of Infinity. It's a really fun, fast-paced game. I was kind of like you. I wasn't sure how the little mini game to determine the turn order was going to be, but it's really fast and easy, and it fits in with the theme of the game really well. Like, I can see a bunch of merchant people just, like hanging out in the bar before they start their day and just relaxing playing a game. One of the other things that I really like is I believe it was called Mirror Dimension, where it significantly changes location or rule for a round. So like there might be a planet that you can't get to that round, and so it might mess up the plans that you had made from the previous round, so you can't get the items that you need to fulfill the orders you collected from the last round. So you have to readjust your plans, and I think that adds a really neat level to it.
Yeah, it's just enough chaos to keep you on your toes, but without making it feel like this total random nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, you still have control over a lot of things, but you gotta adjust, which is really, really cool. All right, my number 12 is Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade. This is a really great deck building game that is, of course, themed after the Cowboy Bebop anime. And I think they did a really good job of catching the feel of the characters. They're working, they're friends, they're working together, but they're also trying to like show up each other. So it's a competitive game. At the end, you're all trying to take down Vicious, but you still want to be the one who like takes him down the most, I guess you could say. So that's really fun. But they did a great job in this game, and the positioning of your characters is important because you'll go to different planets, but if you're on a spot that another character's on, you get to use one of their special abilities if you want to. It's a blast. And especially, recently we were at the Dragonflight convention. We played with some perfect strangers to us. And I think for some reason that's what really cinched to me. I'm like, this is a game that's always going to come out again for us. It's hard to get back to games.
Yeah, and one of the players that we played with mentioned, like, their partner mentioned that they don't normally do, like, deck building games. And so... we had to walk her through some of the mechanics a little bit, but she picked up on it really quickly. So it's a game that's easy to teach people, even if they're not used to a deck builder or certain mechanics in the game. Yeah,
agreed. And it just looks really cool out on the board. Like it's all like the planets are all separate, and you have like the Bebop and just everything about it. I think it's just really awesome production, a really awesome game, and it's one that we'll probably always have in our collection. So that's my number 12, Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade.
My number 12 is going to be The Hunger. It's very similar to Clank, where you're going out and collecting resources, in this case humans, and there's a time crunch to this, and you have to get back to the castle before the end of the game. The reason why I like this game so much better than I do Clank is that it's not up to the players when the time starts to count down. It goes off a certain number of turns, and so you can decide if you want to push your luck by going all the way to the labyrinth at the end or not. But like you can't be stuck all the way out there and have another player mess up you being able to get back, or at least not as far as the time frame of when you have to get back by. There's different ways that people can kind of mess up your order when you're fighting to get back to the castle, but it's not the same as in Clank. So it does just have kind of a different feel to it, and
Yeah, I just like it a little bit better as well. I still like Clank a lot, but Hunger just, I don't know, it kind of took over that spot for me. So my number 11, it is Marvel Champions, the Marvel Comics living card game. There's a lot to like about this game. One of my favorite things is that each hero has both their superhero side, and then sometimes you'll need to or want to, for various reasons, flip it over to their alter ego side. And, you know, that gives you a chance to heal often, and it's nice because the villains obviously don't attack you. They have no reason to go trying to maul Peter Parker just because he's around. Like,
everybody knows he's Peter Parker now, so.
I think they undid that. Even in the comics, they undid that. It was probably stupider in the comics than how they did in the movies. I don't remember. But regardless of that, really neat system. And of course, you can build up your deck any way you want to. So if you want to like play as Spider-Man, you're like, oh, I want to create a deck that kind of makes me think of him during this era. You could do that easily. But the main thing that I'm excited about is they finally decided to bring in the A-listers. They finally started releasing X-Men. I don't know why they didn't do this to start with. It's like they didn't want to make money. But now...
It was only a so-so game. They barely were making it.
I mean, it's like the mechanics were there, and they kept trying. They're like, oh, maybe it's because we don't have Squirrel Girl. Let's put her out. Oh man, we need to get Nova out right away. That'll save our game. The game's doing great. I'm just messing around. But with the X-Men in here, I'm telling you, now it's a contender. Now it's a contender. They stopped messing around. They got to what people wanted. X-Men are here. So, I'm going to play me some X-Men. And if they didn't mess it up, and I'm not saying that I think they did, they probably didn't, this could easily move up next year. We will see. But for now, that's my number 34. Marvel Champion. Now starring the X-Men.
My number 11 is going to be Pandemic. I know earlier I mentioned, when I talked about Defenders of the Realm, they're very similar games. I do like Defenders of the Realm better. If I have enough time and I'm picking between the two, I probably will pick Defenders of the Realm first, for me personally. But if we're going to like a convention or playing with new people, I'm going to pick Pandemic. It's a game that's a lot easier to teach to other people. It's a concept that a lot of people can understand, especially after the last few years. And so, I think it's a classic game for a reason.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with that one.
Yeah.
At all. Well, I think that's it. I think we got our 20 through 11. We got one more episode left of all this. And you get the 10 to 20 most perfect games ever created by anyone. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can know about the next time we put out a video. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all around the table again at All Games New and Old. Bye.
Hi everyone, we now have a merch store, so help out the channel and check it out.
Yeah, all these games and the equipment and everything we do and costumes cost a lot of money. So anything you can do to help us out if you love our content would be really appreciated. We have t-shirts in tons of different colors and styles.
We have sweatshirts in a few different styles.
We have lots of stuff you can drink out of, like coffee mugs, pint glasses.
We also have coffee tumblers and water balls and a few other things.
Right. So,
the following announcement has been paid for by AGNO.
Hey yo, check it out. Brand new shirt. It's not just black, it's black and white. Get one today. You can get it with or without, for everyone on the back. You want something to drink? Is it Thirsty Thursday? That's what that means, right? We got something for your morning. Check that out. We got something for your day. And we got something for your night. Get your drink on with that. Get a little cold outside? Check out this premium hoodie. Damn, that looks good. You want to look good? You need this hoodie. What's that? You want a little color? Don't worry. AGNO has got you covered. You don't like purple and red? Don't worry. There's plenty more. Just check the store. All these clothes, not too big, not too small, just too sweet. Don't forget, All Games New and Old is for everyone.
The preceding announcement was paid for by AGNO.
So yeah, that's how you can get pretty much any Kickstarter at the All-In Pledge level for free. So when you saved all that money, make sure you go to our merch store, spend some of that saved money to help us out. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. That is my number. So my number 34. I described the wrong game. For number 34. I was like, wait, wasn't this on my list? Where is it? There's Champions. I was like, wait a minute. Didn't I talk about Champions?
I know. I'm like, I thought you talked about this before I did.
Yep. So my number. My number 15. It has dropped 10 places, and yep, sure has. But the basic rules, the basic. If you enjoyed that video, you might also like this one.
Or this one.
If you like any of our videos, what you should do is click this little button to subscribe so you'll know about the next time we put out a video.
We'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.